So I want to welcome everybody who joined us today for our first ever GED talk, really meant to encourage and motivate and inspire a multitude of people, those who are thinking about getting their GED, but for some reason just haven't started, those who are currently enrolled, who are still on the path, those who may have started, but for whatever reason, they, maybe got thrown off track by life. And then those who are already have finished finished their journey and they obtained their high school diploma. So this is meant for everybody. And I know that there are some folks who are who registered to join us, but they couldn't physically be with us. So they wanted to go ahead and register so that they could get a recording of this to maybe for them or someone they know that they can share for them. But before I get started, I want to just kind of give you guys a little background of who I am. I am Chandra Kydd. I am the CEO and founder of Smart Kydd Concepts. And Smart Kydd Concepts is all about the mindset of adults, really focusing on adults learning continuously to get better in different areas of your life. It could be your education, it could be your mental health, it could be your physical health and well-being. It could be just maybe a spiritual health. And just helping you guys get better by learning different kinds of things and trying new stuff, opening your mind to new ideas and new possibilities. But tonight, I also want to actually introduce you guys, and I didn't mention that I would do this, um, but I wanted to even introduce a part of my team who are here with me because Smart Kydd Concepts is not just me. There are multiple smart kids pulling together to make us grow way beyond, even what I can imagine. So I really want to shout out my assistant, Miss Joan De La Cruz. Joan is here with us, you guys. She is my background. She is my right hand. She helps me with so much to make Smart Kydd Concepts amazing and take it to the next level. And I also want to shout out Miss Carrie Bry, who is also with us. Miss Carrie Bry is also a part of my, like I would say, maybe the left side of my brain. She is the person that is always there to bounce ideas off of and just continuously support the concepts that Smart Kydd Concepts comes up with. And she is also the co-author of the third book that will be coming out soon, all about how to help your kids get better in school. So I just wanted to introduce them as a part of the Smart Kydd Concepts team. So that way you guys don't think it really is all just me. It is taking a team, and there are others in the team as well who are not present, but I just want to go ahead and shout out Joseph, who is a part of the finance side of it. I want to shout out Trio, who helps with some of the visual sides of it and consulting with some of the tech parts. And I want to shout out my mom, my dad, and my kids who also help make the wheels turn and support a lot of the things that we're doing with Smart Kydd Concepts. So I got to shout them out, especially with the Smart Giving project that we do. They're a big major part of that. So I just wanted to shout everybody out for all those who play a part in making Smart Kydd Concepts really what it is. And I am absolutely 1000% sure it's going to continue to grow and reach even more corners of the earth. All right, but let's get started talking about these second chances and these big dreams that you guys can have and achieve through the power of getting your GED. All right, next slide for me, John. So let's start with the quote. So you guys, for those of you who are students of mine or have ever been a student of mine, you guys know I love quotes. They're all over the classroom. So I thought it would be really nice if we could just have a little quote segmented in here. And this quote says, "Every chapter of your life matters, including the one you choose to rewrite today." So our life can sometimes go left or right, absolutely unexpectedly. And it's very possible, you all have stories as to why you didn't finish school in the first place. Everybody's story and journey is different. However, it's not too late. And that's the whole point. And this is the reason why Smart Kydd Concepts is always talking about get better, get better, get better in lifelong learning. Because it is, I don't care if you're 109, you're still going to learn something new every single day. So every chapter of your life matters, including the one you choose to rewrite today. And that's really what we're here to talk about, the choice you make today to not only start to get your GED, but to finish and then move on to other great levels in life. Next. So I want to start off with a little bit of an overview of some of the things that we're going to discuss during our time together in this 1 hour, which I bet it's going to just fly by. So I want to talk about the benefits and opportunities that a GED can unlock for you. I want to talk about, the text structure and then just some preparation strategies, how you can do this, because I realize a lot of people are always told, go get your GED, go get your GED, but no one ever says, okay, this is how you do it. So, most students just jump in. And if you don't have a teacher or an advisor or, someone guiding you in the process, you might just kind of be just floating around, not sure what to do, which we don't want that, because that can lead to you not finishing because you're just lost. So I want to talk about the structure and just give you guys some tips. I want to talk about getting back to going back, because that is actually a mindset shift and also a schedule shift. All right. If you have children, you have a household, you have a job, you have, just life that you're juggling. Now we're talking about adding another thing to the mix. So that is something that we need a little bit of guidance on how to manage all of these things. I want to talk about the different educational pathways, even after you get your diploma, because I always say in the classroom, your GED is not the finish line, it's the starting line. It is so meant to be the beginning of even bigger and better things. So I want to just discuss really briefly some things that you can do once you get your GED credential. I want to definitely talk about some opportunities for you guys who are past or current students to share your testimonials. Like, why did you register? What are your struggles? How are you staying motivated? What is it that's keeping you from not quitting? What are some tips you can offer to other listeners in this webinar, whether it be the thing that helped you pass the math or the way that you chose to study every day? Like, what was your methodology? What was your modality? So this will be the chance for me to stop talking and for you guys to start talking and sharing, what worked for you, what it didn't work, and just talk to each other and just provide that background and really what's keeping you on the path, and why did you even start on this GED journey? All right, next. So let's jump into the benefits of getting your GED. So one benefit is that it's going to open doors to better job opportunities. That's just a given. Okay. There's When we think about a lot of times the reason why we're getting our GED is oftentimes so that we can get better jobs. Okay, and the better jobs usually require a GED or high school diploma. It's usually somewhere near the top. Now, that doesn't mean you can't obtain a job even without your GED. There are jobs out there that do not require a high school diploma. However, those jobs usually do not provide benefits. We want jobs with benefits. We want jobs that not only pay well, but jobs that offer benefits like medical, dental, vision, maybe things like maybe a 401k or some type of retirement. We want jobs that give us paid vacations and maybe certain holidays off, sick days. These are the jobs that we hopefully will be able to get that, but they oftentimes require that GED or high school credential. Nowadays, you can barely even be a janitor without a high school diploma. So it's become more and more of a requirement that you have that credential. Another benefit is that it can help you get into higher education programs, and we'll talk about a little bit more about some of the options with that as well. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware of some of the other options that you can take, because there are different ways that you can continue your learning, and I hope that you will continue your learning after you get your high school diploma. But there is no one size fits all method. But if you decide to go to a post-secondary learning institution, they're going to require that you have that high school diploma. Now, let me say this, certain tech programs, okay, certain tech programs may not require a high school diploma. However, if you go into a certain program and even if you finish it successfully, now when you try to go get a job, the employer may say, okay, we want a high school diploma. So sometimes it's really good to just go ahead and get that credential before you start the next leg of your educational journey. Okay, that way you don't have to try to feel like you're going backwards. Okay, another benefit is that it boosts your confidence and self esteem. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of you guys, you didn't finish school for whatever reason, right? And for some people, they're not going to get their GED for a job. Some people really just want to get their diploma because they just want to finish what they started. They want to go ahead and get something that they started years ago, and they just want to feel good about feeling that they accomplished that goal that was set in stone many, many years ago when they were younger. All right. So we definitely want to try to get that credential, if nothing else, to just feel good about finishing. And then we also have the benefit of being a positive example for family members and friends in our life, right? Some of us have kids. I have three. And I'm always telling my kids, first thing I do when they get in the car after they ask me what's for dinner, right? I ask them, who has homework? Did everybody do their homework? Are you guys doing your homework? And then, of course, we're going to look at their report card. We're going to look at their progress reports. We're going to stay on top of them about their education. But what about us? Are our children watching us learning? So I encourage you guys to definitely do your homework and study in front of your kids instead of in front of your nieces and nephews, your grandkids. You know, make it a visible thing that they see you doing it, because that now reinforces the message that you're giving to them that education is important. So it won't be good for you to tell your kids, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever, hey, you guys need to do your homework. You guys need to study. But yet they found out that you quit school. So we don't want that. All right, next. All right, so I just want to pause for a quick second because I know some folks joined us. All right, if any of you joined via that link I sent out through Remind, I would like for you guys to go to the chat box and type your name and email address. So if you didn't pre-register where we captured your email, please put your email and name in the chat box, because somebody is going to win a copy of my book. And I want to make sure that we have a way to notify you how to get your official e-copy of Go Back to School and Get Better. But also we want to try to send you guys the recording of this webinar. So let's move on. Let's talk about money. Money, 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 right? Let's talk about employment. Because as I mentioned, many of us are trying to get our GED for monetary purposes. So if you guys look at this chart, if you will, about the comparison of an annual salary for a person based on their educational level, as well as the unemployment rate, you can see that um, the higher the educational level, the more money you make. So if you look here on the left side, the higher the degree, the more the median weekly earnings. So you see, when we go from less than a high school diploma, we're looking at about $700 a week versus a PhD or doctorate. They're making over $2,000 a week. That's a big difference. Now let's add high school diploma. So we jump with high school diploma, we go from $700 to about $900. So we got a $200 difference. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is if you add those weeks up over the year. Now, if we look at the unemployment rate, we see that the unemployment rate decreases drastically the higher you go in education. So the bottom line, the more you know, the more you make. And that also gives you opportunities to climb the ladder, all right, to definitely increase in your potential of promotions on the job, okay, and even raises. Okay, one thing I want to mention, you guys, if you guys get a chance in the chat box, we opened up a survey for you guys. Before you leave, if you guys would please complete that survey, that's going to help us out a lot so that we can get better. Because that's the whole point. We want to get better. We want to learn from you guys. So do that survey before you leave the session so that way we can get some valuable information and input from you guys. Okay, next, Joan. All right, let's talk about the test. All right. So if you look at this graphic we have on the right side, you guys should see GED testing service. You should see task. You should see high set. So these are different GED testing programs, and every state has a different one. I'm here in Florida, and a lot of states have GED testing service. So in the state of Florida, um, we have GED testing service, and and other states may have high set, other states may have task. So the thing about these different methods of testing, they're actually testing companies. So let me just say that. If you move to a state, so say you're in Florida here with me, and you start the GED test, and say you passed, a couple of subjects or even one subject, and say you move to another state that offers task or high set, you cannot port it over, unfortunately. So you would actually have to start all over. All right. So if you pass, say, math and reading, and then you move to another state that has high set or task, you would have to retest all subjects in those states because they do not translate over. So you would have to either try to hurry up and finish the state that you're in, or you would have to just convert over. There is no way to mix and match. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of history, because you guys should know I'm a history person, right? So, and this is something that I talk about, in my book, a little bit of the history. Before the GED test changed in 2014, the test was very different from what you guys may be seeing or experiencing now. The GED test was paper-based. And so when you wanted to go take the test, you would take all four subjects. I'm sorry, there were five at the time. You would take all five subjects. You would go to a testing site, and you would take it on paper, and then you would have to wait 4 to 6 weeks for your result. Now, the downside of that is you're nervous for 4 to 6 weeks waiting for your results. And the way the scoring system is you had to score a minimum score on all subjects, but you had to have an overall score that was more than the minimum of them all. So there might have been a subject or two that you needed to score a higher on in order to make the overall minimum score. So that was a big issue because people would have to kind of go back and try to retest in certain subjects because they didn't get a high enough score. They wanted to get the extra points. So this was a big issue, not to mention because it was paper-based, people's results were getting lost sometimes. So imagine waiting 4 to 6 weeks to find out they lost your results. Very frustrating. So now the test is now computer-based. So some people don't like computer-based, but honestly, it's really the best thing for you guys because for those of you who've ever tested before, you know that usually sometimes within 10 to 15 minutes, your results are already ready and you don't have to wait for weeks to get your scores. One of the things that I recommend you guys do, and now every GED teacher is absolutely different in their strategies, and I'm going to speak about myself and what I encourage my students to do. Day one, I encourage students to create their account. And as I mentioned, we're in Florida, so we're a GED testing service state. So I encourage students to go to GED.com and create their free account. Doesn't cost you anything, okay, to create the account. And then I encourage students within 2 weeks of starting my class to take the official practice test. All right. The test used to be $6.99. It recently, in the last couple of weeks, it went up by $1. All right, prices are going up, you guys. Inflation, right? So now the practice test is $7.99. Now it's $8 per subject unless you buy the bundle package. I encourage you to buy the bundle because you save a few dollars that way. Okay. If you only need one subject or so, then just buy the singular subject. But I personally prefer students to go ahead and take the practice test very early on. And I know some students kind of fight me and say, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But the thing is that you don't need to be nervous. It's meant to tell you what to study. So it creates a study plan for you. All right. And to talk about study plan, and this goes into helping you guys be successful. In my book, I mentioned a study plan. All right. This is something that I put in the book because once again, I realized that a lot of adult students go back to school, but no one guides them and helps them to actually go back to school. So in my book, I have an actual study outline for a study plan because if you don't plan to study, you may not do a good job at it. Okay. And then you may not be as successful and you definitely may not be consistent and it's going to require some consistency. So in the book, I create an outline for you that you can simply fill in, all right, to create your own custom made study plan. All right. Then after you have taken a practice test, you studied and prepared, you got your plan sheet, right? You now need to be ready to take the real test. Okay. Don't be afraid. Go do it. Okay. You will have as many attempts as necessary. You do not get a limited amount of times to take the test. You could take, if it takes 100 times for you to pass it, fine. It takes 100 times. Hopefully, no one has ever gotten to 100 times. So don't be afraid. But just go ahead and be ready to just do it. We don't want fear driving the bus. We want to drive the bus. And preparation will help you be ready to take that step, to take the real test. So my advice to you guys, especially if you've been already in there working on this, make a consistent schedule for testing. Too often I see students taking tests 6 months apart, a year apart, 8 months apart. That in my book, that's a no. Testing is a skill that must be practiced. So please make it a habit to take the test. Don't get scared, even if you are in the 60-day hold. Let me explain the 60-day hold. So what happens if you take the test and you don't pass, you can retake the test as soon as possible if there's an availability in the schedule. If you take it a second time and do not pass, you can retake it again whenever you're ready. But if you take it a third time and do not pass, you will have to wait 60 days in between every testing. And it's subject by subject, not every subject. So if you took it 3 times in math, you now have to wait 60 days every time you take it. Now, when you take the test and do not pass, you get a discount. Right now, the test used to cost $32. But guess what? Inflation. So now the prices are $38. And I'm talking about specifically Florida because every state's pricing may be different. Okay. But right now, the test cost, the real test for the first time is $38. If you do not pass, you get a retake discount up to twice and you will only pay $12. So you're not paying as much. However, once you hit those 3 testing attempts and do not pass, you will have to pay the full $38 every time after that, plus the 60-day hold that you have to wait, and you cannot schedule it before that 60 days is expired. All right, but still do not be afraid to test. So if you are one who is in that 60-day hold situation, if I were you, on day 61, you're testing. Because if you now say, oh, I'm afraid the test becomes 60 days, 60 day, then now you're actually making it take longer than 60 days. All right. Remember, testing is a skill. You get better the more you do it. So if you're on a 60-day hold, be ready to test day 61. Stop waiting. I said so. Stop waiting. All right. The scores you guys need to pass are a 145. Now, I heard some people say, oh my gosh, I got a 146, I got a 148. I'm so mad. I wanted a 160 this, I wanted a 155. And so my words of that is go talk to somebody who got a 144, right? They would gladly take your 146, okay? Because between the 145 and a 164, it all means you passed. So even if you got a 155, it's the same as just getting that 145. It simply means that you passed. Now, where it matters is if you get a 165. A 165 means you get honor score. And the benefit of getting an honor score is, say you decide to go to a college, then most colleges require you to take maybe like an entrance exam. You should be able to say, hey, I got college ready. I don't want to, I should be exempt from taking the entrance exam. But every school is different. So they may not honor that, but you never know. Okay. So gotcha, Joan. So the next score above that is a 175. And I'm just going to adjust my mic here, make sure you guys hear me well. All right, a 175. And a 175 is college plus credit. So say you get college, 175 in math, then you would be able to get some math college credits to start you out. All right. And then definitely after you take that practice test or even the real test, they give you that kind of prescriptive to help you to know what to study for the next time. All right. Next, Joan. So for those, I saw some people joining in. All right, welcome, 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 you guys, those who are joining us now. All right, please do put your name and your email in the chat box so that way you guys can make sure that you guys get a recording of this webinar, as well as if you win the free book, we can let you guys know. All right, so if you have this recording, you can share it with whomever you like. All right, but also we want to be able to give you the book if you win it. But please also do the survey for us before you leave the session. So in the chat box is the link where you guys can do the survey for us so that we can always get better as we continue to move forward. So let's talk about transitioning back to school. We oftentimes have a lot of fear when going back to school. Okay, so I want to share some tips with you guys as to how to overcome that. First of all, start small. Okay, take it one step at a time. First thing you do, just register. Okay, just register. Ask questions. Okay, if you feel lost and unsure of what to do, ask an advisor, ask your teacher, ask a counselor, ask a classmate, ask someone, any questions that you might have. Okay, but take it one step at a time. If if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you need to focus on one subject at a time, do it that way. If that's what makes you feel a lot less anxiety, you can do it one subject at a time if you don't want to do 4 subjects at a time. Okay. And by the way, there are 4 subjects. Okay. And as I mentioned, the test changed in 2014. So where it used to be 5, there's now 4 because now the essay has been added to the reasoning through language arts subject of the test. So you will have 4 subjects to pass: math, science, social studies, and the reasoning through language arts test. Okay. Another tip for overcoming fear is to build a support system. Let your friends, family, and and you can even create study groups if you have classmates that you might get to know, or if you have friends or family members who are also trying to get their GED, you can create a little study group, but build a support system. But I definitely want to say, pick your support system wisely. Okay. In my book, I talk about the dream killers. So these are people who seem like they should be in your corner supporting you, but they actually they make it difficult for you to finish your journey. So build a support system who will support you. And that support may be you need a ride to school. That support may be you need a little help with registration, or maybe you need a little help paying for a practice test. All right. So build a support system to help you guide you on your journey. I want you guys to figure out your learning style. Okay. This is why some of you are struggling. You're not studying the right way. You're not learning the right way. We all have learning styles and maybe even a combination of learning styles. You have auditory, you have visual. In other words, you learn by seeing. You have auditory, you learn by hearing. We have kinesthetic, you learn by doing it. You have we have our reading and writing learning style. You actually learn by writing stuff down. All right. So when you guys learn what your learning style, it will help you be able to study well, but it will also help your teacher teach you. So if you are an audio type a hearing type learner, you might need to have your teacher explain it to you verbally. Or you may say, you know what, can you show me how to do that math problem because you're a visual learner? So by you understanding your learning style, you can help your teacher help you, and you can study the right way. So if you're a visual learner, maybe the method you need to study is using some YouTube videos or something like that. Okay. So these are the things that will help you in your process. If you're not sure how to identify your learning style, in my book, Go Back to School and Get Better, I put in some resources that will take you to websites that will help you figure out what your learning style is. Okay. Use any available resources. There are online classes you guys can take. There are face-to-face. Some people don't like online. Some people feel like they need to be in a classroom. That's okay. Find out which learning resource location is closest to you so that you can go to face-to-face classes. Maybe you need to use some digital resources, some online resources that are available. Maybe you would be better off using a textbook. So there are an abundance of resources available, and if you take the practice test, those practice tests will outline what skills you need to focus on so that you can use those resources effectively. Make sure you manage your time, okay? As I mentioned, if you're going back to school, especially if you haven't been in school for years, you need to manage your time. You can't, I don't want you guys to expect that you're going to continue the same schedule and routine you had before you started going back to school. You have to find a way to shift some things around to work, study, and school into your new schedule. All right. Some of you need to create a plan of action. Once again, in my book, I wrote this book for you guys. Okay. I wrote this book because I wanted to give you guys an abundance of tools, an abundance of information to help you guys really be successful. And many of you start school, but you never have a plan of action. And that plan could even start with, what is your goal to be done? Because some of you don't even have a specific goal in mind. I want to be finished by such and such a time or a month or whatever. So you're kind of just going through the motions. You should have a deadline, even if it's a testing deadline. I think I'll take the math by such and such a date. Okay, I think I want to pass the reading by such and such a date. So create a plan of action for you. And even when you get your GED, the plan of action should include, what do we do after we get the GED? Are we going to enroll at this school? Are we going to apply for that job? What's the next step? Do I need financial aid? All of these things are a part of it. Do I need to get in another credential to get that degree? Or I'm sorry, that get into that field of study? Whatever. And also celebrate the wins, you guys. You guys, if you have me, you know I am all about shout outs. Okay. Every time you pass a subject, okay, celebrate. You can treat yourself to, I don't know, treat yourself to a smoothie, go out for ice cream, tell folks about it, people in your support system, let them know, call them and explain, hey, guess what? I passed, I passed. Celebrate the small wins because those things actually open up your motivation. You start to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you start making progress, and you even if you didn't know how to do slopes, right? Because we know slopes are all over the map. Maybe you didn't know how to do slopes, and now you know how to do slopes. Celebrate that. That is a win. All right. So little things like that help you stay motivated during the process. Okay. So if you guys look over here on the right side, we have some principles that are explained for you guys. So if you look at this little illustration, you can see how these items actually improve and increase your success rate. So if you set goals, you have a 80% success rate. If you create a plan, that is about 70% success. Consistent effort of all of these on the list, consistent effort gives you the highest success rate, meaning you are consistent in how you study, you are consistent in how you attend classes, you are consistent in the frequency of your testing. All of that increases your chances way up. So if you have that tendency, you go to class and then you kind of go disappear for a bit. Okay, now you come back. Okay, now disappear for a little bit. The downside of that is it's almost as though you're starting over and you're putting gaps in between your progress. And so we don't want that because that gets frustrating sometimes. Okay. And then life gets in the way and it can throw us completely off track. Adapting to your learning. Okay. Adapting to your learning is going to be important. In other words, maybe you were studying one way for one subject, but now you need to incorporate a different method for another subject. So some of you have weaknesses and strengths in certain subjects. So the way you study for the reading and language might be different from how you study from the social studies. And the way you study for the social studies might be different from the way you study for the math. So you might need to adapt and learn as you, and that's what we call pivoting. All right. That too is a very high success rate if you become adaptable. And that may even mean adapt to the way you go to school. So, say your job shift changes and you can't make it to face classes anymore. You may need to shift to online. That's you trying to adapt to the scenario as opposed to stopping altogether. You just shift it and adapt it to the situation as opposed to stopping altogether. All right, forward for me, Joan. All right. So, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but geez, these are just some success statistics with you guys. So we look at 90% of colleges and universities accept the GED. So, by saying that, I want you guys to not think that getting your GED is lesser than a high school diploma and that no one wants to accept it. Companies accept it, higher educations of institutions of higher learning accept it. It is the same as a high school diploma at a regular high school, except it does not have the name of a school on it. It comes directly from the Department of Education in your state. Okay, so it is the same thing, just minus a high school name. Okay, so don't think it's a lesser than test. Okay, about 65% of test takers for the GED plan to enroll in a college or technical school or some type of education of institution about within a year of obtaining their GED. Okay, the average age of GED test takers is about 24.7 years old. So about 25 years old is when the average age of most test takers. But don't think that we don't have GED students that are as young as 16. And I've even seen on in the news and in the media where sometimes people over 100 are getting their high school diploma. So there is no limit, okay? As long as you're at least 16 years old, all the way up, the sky is the limit. There is no age limit. You can go back and get your GED at any age, at any time. So don't feel like you missed the boat because you're in your 60s or your 50s or your 70s or even in your 90s. You can always go back. All right. So never feel like you missed the boat. All right. Next, Joan. All right. All right. So you got your diploma. Now what? If you guys look at this slide, and I wanted, and I threw these images in here. On the one on the upper left, that's me. That is me getting my master's degree. And learning it can be flexible. There are so many different ways you can learn. Either get, not only just getting your GED, but even after you get your GED and you decide to continue your learning path, there are different options available for you. All right. I did mine online because I got 3 kids and I have a full-time job. So I was not able to physically be in a classroom because I had to work in the day and I had my kids in my household at night. So the method that I chose was an online program. And that upper right image is actually at my graduation ceremony. So I really and truly get it. I get it. I get it. I get it what it's like to go back to school as an adult. So I went back to school in my I was in my 40s, right? I was over 40. All right. So, and I did this completely 100% online because I needed the ability to learn at my own pace from anywhere. And the majority of my learning took place at really early hours in the morning and late in the evening. Mostly I try to do it around the times that my kids were asleep because you know how kids are, they constantly interrupt. So at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, I was up early doing my work, doing my assignments, doing my projects, my papers, doing, and late in the evenings, I was meeting with my groups because we had to do a lot of collaborative work. And sometimes my classmates were in other parts of the country, which with different time zones. So online may be a fit for you if you have a very hectic schedule. You have the option of community colleges. Community colleges can be very affordable for you guys. Okay, they are accessible. Oftentimes, they're in your local community, and they may even have local branches that offer different degree programs and certifications. You can enroll in vocational schools. Vocational schools are becoming more and more popular, right? Because maybe for affordability purposes, as well as people don't have maybe years before they try to get into the workforce, you guys can take vocational classes to get certifications and career training in different, very different areas and still get good, high quality paid jobs. So don't think you have to go to a major university. That is always an option to go to a traditional university, which provides a broader academic and social experience. I also went to a university for my bachelor's degree. All right. But there are so many different other ways. Nowadays, there are even more options. You can do courses like YouTube University, right? We call it YouTube University. You can learn things through mentorship, all right, through apprenticeships. There are different methods to get higher learning. Even reading a book, okay, can always expand your mind, okay? Next, Joan. For those of you who join, all right, some people may have joined us. All right, if you guys would please put your name and email in the chat box as well as complete that survey before you go so that way we can learn and get better from you guys. All right, but also so that we can send you guys this recording of the video webinar as well as find out if you are winning. Lucky winner of my second book, Go Back to School and Get Better. By the way, you guys, I will be doing some book signings with this guy very soon in Los Angeles at the LA Times event, as well as in London. So this book is officially international. All right. So it is growing and it is going worldwide, and I am excited about it because that's the whole purpose for writing it, is so that it can help everybody everywhere. All right. So higher education always pays off. As we mentioned before, the more you make, the more you know, the more you make. All right. So the more you can know, the higher you stand above the crowd. So think of it this way. If you don't have your high school diploma, you are in the bucket with millions and millions of young people who might still be in high school. Now get your high school diploma. Now you're in the pool with thousands of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands who got their high school diploma. Now you get your associate's degree. You're now in a smaller pool. You get your bachelor's, you're in a smaller group. You get your master's. So the higher you go, the smaller your competition is. All right. So higher learning is very, very important because it will always pay off. Now, I want to give a scenario. Um, Yes, that would be great, Joan. So I want to give this scenario. I had a conversation with a student about a career field that they wanted to go into. And I asked them, what did they want to do? And they said they wanted to do, I forgot what the career was. And I asked, well, how much would it cost to get the certification for that? And they said about 5,000. And I said, okay, 5,000. I'm like that. And I'm like, how long will it take to get? They said about a year or so. So I said, well, how much could you make in that field? And they said about $80,000. And so where they were originally thinking $5,000 is a lot of money. And I was like, that is not a lot of money, right? It seems like a lot of money if you don't have $5,000. But where you guys need to look at it is if I pay $5,000, but I now benefit $80,000. That $80,000 will overshadow the 5,000 I paid to get that education. Not to mention if I have that career for the next year and the next year and the next year and the next year, you see how 80,000 becomes a lot. And it really, really, really overshadows the investment you made in the very beginning of the $5,000, which seemed like so much money. All right. But I'm telling you, it is a minor investment. Even if you go to school and it's going to cost, say, $10,000, but you're going to go into a field that's going to pay you, say, $70,000 a year. That 10,000 is nothing compared to the 70,000 year after year after year after year, especially if that job gives you benefits. Okay. So it will pay for itself truly. So never be afraid to invest in yourself. All right. We spend money on so many things. Invest in yourself first. Okay. Forward, Joan. All right, I saw Miss Adrian join us. Hey, Adrian, welcome, welcome. If you would, Adrian, please type your name and email into the chat box. All right, and anyone else who might have joined us, please type your names and emails into the chat box so we can let you know if you won the book and give you a copy of the recording, as well as do that survey before you leave so we can get better. Now, I get to hear from you guys. All right. We got several of my either current students or past students in the crowd. So I want to give you guys a chance to, if you are a current student, all right, I'm putting you guys on the spot. I love you. I love you. I am hoping that you guys will kind of share your testimony, just really briefly about why did you register and what is helping you stay motivated until you finish? So, if you would unmute your mic. All right. If you are a current student, whether you're mine or not, if you're currently working towards your GED, please go ahead and share, your journey. Like, why did you register? Why did you even register in the first place? And why? How are you still maintaining to continue on your journey right now? So, any one of you. And you're not done, but that's okay. You can inspire someone who's still working or someone who needs to go back and finish. So any one of you, turn on your mic, don't be shy, and share your testimony. You never know who you will help.
Okay, hi, I'm Adrian Monroe. I'm
Hey,
one of
Adrian.
hi, I'm one of your current students. Um I'm 58 years old and I never had a high school diploma, and I want to get my high school diploma so I can make more money, because
Mhm.
without your education you can't make you can make money but not a lot.
Right.
So that's my motivation, and that's the reason why um I want to receive my GED. And
So,
another
mhm.
thing too, you are awesome teacher, but I had to stop because I had to work, so I had to stop coming to class. But I want to start back again because, like I said, if you don't have your high school diploma, you can't make the money that you can if you had it. So
So Adrian, so if you would, Adrian, and once again, hey, Adrian.
I
So glad you were able to join me tonight and hear your
yeah,
voice again.
yes.
So, Miss Adrian, can you give us, has there ever been a scenario or situation, Adrian, where there was an opportunity and you couldn't take advantage of it because you didn't get your GED? Did that ever happen to you?
Yes, that happened to me several times.
So what
One
happened?
of
What were you
one
trying to do and what happened?
Well, I was trying to get a job in the school board,
Okay.
working for the school, and they hired me and everything, and then they said to me, um well, what I did was I put that I had a high school diploma because I knew that they wouldn't hire me because I didn't have it, and I
Uh-huh.
was embarrassed, so I kind of lied on the
Mm-hmm.
on my resume. So I
Uh-huh.
did get the job and everything, and then they said to me, well, we need to see your high school diploma and your transcripts.
Ah,
So I couldn't provide that.
right.
So I couldn't get the job. And it was a
Gotcha.
really good job. So
Mm,
one thing I learned, don't lie on your resume. Just tell the truth. And
mhm.
then it just really bothered me because they hired me and they really liked me, but because I didn't have a high school diploma, I couldn't get the job. So
Gotcha.
that's another reason why I want to finish my high school diploma, get my GED.
Right, right, right.
Hmm.
Got you. Oh
Yes.
man. So
Yeah.
it's almost like they gave you a slice of
They
cake
hired
and
me.
right,
Yeah.
they you got to taste the cake and it was sweet, and then
It was so
before you got
good.
that second bite, they took the slice away
Yeah.
from you. God,
They
you need
ask
to
because that's what they ask. They ask you for your, your high school diploma, and then they also ask you for the transcript. So
right,
I didn't have it, and I didn't get the job because they
right,
couldn't give it to me. So that
right,
was very hurtful,
right.
and it just it it just motivated me more
Mhm,
to get my GED. And like I said, I'm 58 years old, so it's kind of hard for me because I haven't
mhm,
been to school in a while. I
right,
did go to your class, but then I had to stop because I'm a working. I have to bills and things that I have
right,
to pay. I have to pay my rent and everything. So I had
right,
to leave, but then I still realized that I need to come back. So that's why I
right,
want to come back, because it's nothing if you don't have if you don't have education. You can
right,
make a
right,
little bit of money, but you can't make the real money, with the benefits and everything that you need if you don't have your um credentials, your
right,
high
right.
school diploma. So that's
Gotcha.
my story.
Right. Thank you so
Mm,
much, Adrian, for
y-
sharing that. So
Yes.
just for a moment to encourage you, Adrian, by all means, please do find that modality as I mentioned earlier in the webinar about, the way to success is being able to really shift and adapt. So since
Hmm.
the shift on the job changed, you might have needed to shift how you were going to school, and it may not be the ideal scenario. I know you just loved me so much coming to class, but that might have meant you need to go maybe transition to online and maybe just do one class at a time online, because that way it's better to
Yes.
have slow progress than no progress.
Exactly.
Because the longer it takes for you to finally obtain that, think about it this way, and I'm talking to everyone. The
Hmm.
longer you guys wait, that's money you're losing because you're not
Hmm.
making the money you could have made with that job that you could have had. Plus,
Yes.
everything is going up. Even the test itself went from 32 to 38.
Hmm.
Registration fees start to go up. Testing fees start to go up. Groceries,
Yes. Yes.
groceries, rent, light
Hmm.
bill, water bill, insurance, all of the the expenses we need to live are extremely expensive. So we need to make that money. And by us not making the money, we're losing the money. So I
Yes.
encourage you, Adrian, to go back ASAP, but go
Hmm.
back in the method that works for you. So if that happens to be online, one class at a time, Adrian. Do it
Hmm.
that way because, like I said, slow progress is better than no
Yeah,
progress.
because now that
Okay.
was a year ago, and I'm right back at the same start again, and maybe I would
Right.
have been done if I would have
That
just
is the
did
way I need you to
something.
think about it. That's the
Hmm.
way I want you to shift your thinking. Just jump
Yes.
in, jump in
Yes.
and get started. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I
Thank you
hope I
so
can help
much.
someone. No problem.
Yes, yes. I
Mhm.
think I saw a heart. I think you inspire somebody. I think
Well,
somebody
that's
had a heart in
awesome.
there. So you
That's
inspire. See,
awesome.
you were purpose to be here. Let's hear
Yes.
from somebody else. Is there anyone else who would like to share their story really quickly about,
Hi.
hey, Miss Hannah, talk to us, Hannah.
Hi, my name's Hannah. I'm 24. I started my GED in August. I recently switched to online school because in person just wasn't cutting it. I was waking up at 5 a.m. to commit to going to school. I live kind of far. I'm a full-time mom, so that, puts stuff in perspective. I recently took my math, and when you were talking about how the 60-day hold, I kind of can relate to that because I have failed my math 3 times.
Mhm.
The second to last time I failed my math, I had a 143, and then I took it again and I had a 120.
Ah.
And I went back and I studied. So I will be
Mhm.
scheduling my test again to take it
Okay,
very
good.
soon.
Good.
I did pass my reading, and I just came out here to say, like, just don't be discouraged because of it. Just try to take it to the chin and just put it forward, really. It's just gonna feel so good in the end.
Right. And it's gonna feel really good when you get the math because you're fighting so hard to get it. So, because the
Yeah.
RLA, remind me if I'm wrong, Hannah. Didn't you pass the RLA the first time you took it?
Yeah.
So see that when you boom, you knocked that one out. So you were probably like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And now the math kind of deflated you a little bit, but it
Mhm.
didn't completely pop you. You see, there's a difference between a little deflation versus a complete pop. So because you're still working towards it. The pop is you just gave up completely. So, and the thing is that if you give up completely, the RLA is like you need all of them, you know what I mean? You got the RLA, and so the RLA would be just kind of dangling there because you need all 4 subjects in order to get the credential. So you don't want it to be as though the RLA doesn't matter, because if you don't finish because you got stopped by the or deflated by the popped by the math, then you passed almost. Did you pass the RLA for nothing? Of course not. We don't want to give anything away. So you've already had success with one. We just gonna have a little bit of a challenge with the math. And you guys, and if you any of you ever had Miss Kerrigan, y'all know math is lit, right? Math is lit. So for many of you, there are certain subjects that will be a struggle or a challenge. Some people float through all of them and get them the first time they take it, but that is not always the typical journey. So we have to understand that there may be a subject that you get a little caught up on, but you cannot let it pop you. Did I see Kajef join the meeting? Did I see Kajef? Kajef, are you there? Did I see Kajef? Kajef, if you would, Kajep, if you could, I don't know if you're in a location where you could turn on your mic. Because I thought of you instantly when I talked about that, because I know you caught the Dickens with that RLA, and you were just over the moon excited when you finally passed that thing. So, Miss Kajef, can you tell us what kept you coming back, even though you were absolutely frustrated with that darn RLA? What did you do that you think helped made all the difference in passing that RLA, Kajef?
Hey guys, so this is Kajef, the beautiful Kajef. So I'm not gonna lie, I was frustrated with that RLA because I really think that I'm good at English or language or whatever. But I don't know. I think I was nervous. I took it 3 times. By the way, I got it the third time, so I think the third is the charm. But I was nervous the first 2 times I took that test. But to be honest, the last time I took it, I was not nervous,
Okay.
not even a bit. And I my goal was to be finished a long time ago. But you know what? Sometimes the goals take longer.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, it takes longer than you plan, but you just gotta stick it out. And
Right.
let me tell you something. Each time I pass the test, each time I pass one of these GED tests, I don't even know. I'm so excited. I don't care. I don't care if I'm not at the finish line yet, but I'm excited for me. I don't care who is excited for me. I'm excited for me. Yeah. Just to
Yeah.
see me on a regular day, you won't know that I can even speak. But when I get excited, you're gonna know
Mhm.
that I'm excited.
I saw your little celebration dance. You was dancing
Yeah,
on the boardwalk and everything. And that's a beautiful thing, Kajev, because that light and that joy spreads and it encourages other people and people see that joy and it actually encourages you encouraging people without even knowing you encouraging people because people are gonna say, I want that thing she got. That feeling she got when she passed that test, I want some of that. So you're actually in like not meaning to, but you are encouraging someone when you do your little dance and you tell people around you, man, I took that RLA 3 times and that thing was frustrating me, but now I got it. You are unknowingly encouraging the multitudes around you. So I appreciate you. Now, and this is when I have to say this. I thank you for saying when you wanted to quit, I'm glad you came and told me. And I have to say that. And I talk about this when I mentioned about, having your group, your tribe, that support system. When you feel like you want to quit, tell somebody. Tell one of
yeah.
your support people. If it is your spouse, if it is your parent, if it is your teacher, an advisor, or maybe a really close classmate that you've gotten a relationship with, tell someone. Don't just disappear. Let that person say something that will help pump you back up and remotivate you because the truth is we get a little deflated and we need somebody to pump a little bit of air into us to help get us back to where we need to keep going. All right. So always tell someone if you're feeling frustrated or lost or upset. I can go on and on and on with the thousands of students who I have had to give pep talks to because they
I
also they
was one of those.
accidentally
Remember, I was one of those.
yeah, somebody they missed and slipped and said, man, I'm not coming back. They slipped, they let it slip in my presence. And I was like, uh-oh, let's talk. Not on my watch, really and truly say it out loud to someone who is going to say, no, not today. Okay, so y'all get y'all support system. It could be your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever. Your children are motivation, you guys. Your kids will motivate you. Okay, so there's so many people who could be in your support system that will motivate you. All right, because like I told you guys earlier, don't let your kids see you quit, y'all. Don't let your babies see you quit school because it now counteracts you telling them to do their homework, get good grades on the report card, study, and all of that. So do it and make sure you set a good example and let them see you studying. All right, be the example for them. All right. Is there anyone here with us who actually finished and got their GED? Is there anyone who joined us who got their GED? Is there anyone live here with us who got a chance to finish? Not yet. Okay. That's okay. All right. But all of us are at different places. Some of you have passed no subjects. Some of you maybe not have started. Some of you have passed one, maybe you passed two or three, or you're almost there. All right. All of you are at different so I heard Christian, you got one more. Okay, you're on the final one, that math. Man, that's math. That's my Achilles heel. I see Miss Stacy. I want to shout out Miss Stacy who passed 2 subjects in one day and got her diploma. She passed social studies and math in the same day. All right. So I just want to shout her out for that double win. All right. And you guys are all doing this at a different way, a different rate. All right. But really and truly find your support crew. Come up with that plan, y'all. Do not do this without having a plan in mind or even some deadlines. And even as Kajef said, even if it takes a little bit longer, you might need to rewrite the plan. Your plan may have been done by, say, September, but September came and went. Okay, come up. Maybe now the new plan is December. All right. Don't leave the plan hanging in the wind. Recreate a new plan. And those plans may have to work around your next step. So if you want to enroll in a school that starts in April, then you might need to make sure that you rework your plan to try to be done in maybe February, whatever. But don't let the plan go by the wayside. All right. Go forward for us, Joan. Man, listen, you guys, I'm feeling like I could just do this all night. This is such good stuff. All right. But I want to definitely make sure that I respect everyone's time. But I really and truly want everyone to please put your name and email in the chat box. So that way you guys can get a copy of this. Please share it with the world. Anyone you know who could benefit from getting their GED, send it to them. All right. Or maybe you need to watch this over and over and over. Or maybe you joined a little late and you want to watch the whole thing. We'll email you guys the recording. So make sure you put your name and your email. That way, once we do our drawing for the book, which is international, yeah, it's reaching the world. All right, we can communicate that you won a free copy of Go Back to School and Get Better. We'll send that to you via email. All right. Also, please, 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 ma'ams, please, sirs, please put your do that survey for us before you go, so that we can learn what we need to do, or even give us ideas and suggestions of stuff that we didn't cover that you would like us to try to cover in a future session. So help us help you. All right, because the whole point is to get better. All right, go see. All right, go for it, Forrest Jones. Go to the next slide for that. Perfect. All right. So as I mentioned about the book, all right, it is international. Go Back to School and Get Better. You guys, if you don't have a copy, you guys can get this book. It is so many places for sale right now. It is on Amazon. It is on Barnes and Nobles. It is at Books a Million. It is at Walmart. It is at Author House. And I just found out it is on eBay. All right. So it's places I didn't even know it was at. All right. And this is one of the ways that I knew it was international, because